Let's review Headlights by Alex G. So, before I get into the review of the album, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I know about Alex G and what I've heard by Alex G, just so I can give some context. Um, I've only really listened to God Save the Animals, which I really like, and I'm going to do my own separate review for that at some point. Um, I know that Headlights is his ninth album, if you don't count the two soundtracks that he's done. Um, I know that he's kind of the your favorite artist type of musician. He's worked with Frank Ocean, which is my favorite artist, so that tracks. I also know that Headlights is the first time that he's had a co-producer for a whole album, at least allegedly. That's what I've read. And that co-producer was Jacob Portrait from Unknown Mortal Orchestra, and I've definitely heard of him, but I haven't really listened to him, so I don't know what their sound or vibe is, but it worked really well for this album. I wouldn't have been able to tell if I hadn't have read it, but that's pretty much the only prelude I have. So I'll just go ahead and get into my thoughts on the album. This is just an initial review, first thoughts, first reaction, because it's only been out for 3 days now, and I've listened to it probably like 6 times all the way through. Um, and I've listened to my favorites a few more on top of that. But what I have gathered so far, and again, I don't know his full discography, but it seems like maybe this is one of his more personal albums. Because I have done some reading and seen some videos about Alex G to kind of fill in the gaps from what I don't know from the rest of his discography. But it seems that typically he's writing songs about characters and telling stories and themes through that style of songwriting. But a lot of the songs on this album seem to be about himself and about his life on the road, at least in some sense, which would make sense, hence the title, Headlights. Sonically, the album is pretty lighthearted until you get into the second half. I really like all the times that he uses pitch vocals, a little less here on this album compared to on God Save the Animals, but it still works really well for me. When it comes to the track list in total, there aren't really any skips for me whenever I'm listening all the way through. There's not a song that I'm like not really excited to hear or that I'm not wanting to hear. I also really like what you could call the offshoot songs in the album, like Bounce Boy. It's kind of its own song, the way it has the heavy synth, it's shorter. It's just kind of the only one on the album that sounds like it, but it still really works. And I think the album's still really cohesive. Another song that's quite different is Far and Wide. It's kind of like he's doing an impression of someone else vocally. Definitely the most like different sounding song that I've heard if I were to line it up with all the other Alex G songs I've heard. And my friend who put me on to Alex G even knew like kind of the artist that Alex G was maybe not necessarily doing an impression, but like a take on or like doing that style. And I can't remember who that was, but he showed me and it tracked. It sounded a lot like it, but I still think it really works. But Far and Wide is kind of slowly becoming another one of my favorites. I really like the moments in the song where I think this happens twice. He like starts crying and then there's this like synth, but it kind of sounds like flying birds or chirping birds. And then there's one time in the song where he like the strings on the guitar are getting plucked really randomly and it sounds like the falling pieces that he keeps talking about in the song. But the whole album is visually strong. There are a lot of songs that have me either picturing what I think seem like memories, or at least these places that he's describing. You have June Guitar, where you're reminiscing on a summer, or the car that's revving in Louisiana. You have A Memory of Oranges and the Florida Keys. And there are a few times on the album where you kind of hit with either like a loud guitar or a loud synth sound that for me it kind of sounds like you're seeing headlights and it's kind of like forcing you back awake. I think those moments are really neat. As far as my favorites go, I think Beam Me Up is my like number one favorite right now. He's got the metaphor about football, which is like hook, line, sinker for me. Also, just the title, it's giving kind of a sci-fi mysterious vibe. And I'm not entirely sure, especially with the second half of the song, what the whole theme or meaning of the song is, but I like that I'm left like needing to dig deeper and really keep listening and analyze it. But so far that's leading as my number one favorite. I also just really like that first 4 track run with June guitar, Real Thing, Afterlife, and Beam Me Up. Two of them were singles, but they're still really great in the context of the album. They're even better. Bounce Boy, I would kind of consider one of my favorites. It's really short, so I don't know if it's necessarily as strong as some of the others, but I just really like the little moment that it has. Oranges was the last single, but still a really, really solid song. And then I think I'll finish with my favorites list for now being Is It Still You in there. Uh, Not a whole lot of lyrics in that one. I just really like the piano playing and the vibe. And though I've listed my favorites, I still do like all the rest of the songs. A lot of my favorites are on the first half, but it doesn't necessarily mean I don't like the second half. I still really like the song Headlights in Louisiana. Um, Spinning, I think, is starting to grow on me. And then Logan Hotel, I think it's cool having it be like a live version of the song because it kind of gives it like a end credits feeling to the album since it's the closeout song, the final song. I do think though that maybe that kind of puts a spotlight on it in a way that, or if we're really focusing on the song, I don't think that maybe it's as good as the rest. It may be my least favorite at the moment. Not that I don't like it. I just, that one doesn't stand out to me so much. So now I'll get into my rating of the album. And every time that I review an album, I'm going to use 5 aspects and I'll pop them on the screen real quick to use as a basis. I'll use these as a basis and the criteria for my reviews and my ratings every time. So starting with songwriting, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. I think the songwriting's really solid. I don't think that maybe it's my favorite part of this album, or my favorite aspect of the album, but still really incredible. The second being production, and I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10 as well. Still really, really solid. Maybe not the best production I've ever heard, but really works. Then the uniqueness or sound of the album, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. I think that Alex G just has a very distinct feel, sound, like thing to all of his songs. And I think that's what's really like what I really like about his music and has really like gotten me wanting to like keep diving deeper into his discography because I don't have a lot of other artists I know of that I can like reference his music with. Not that it's not out there. I'm sure there are definitely similar artists, but at least for me, he's just has a very distinct sound, and that's still true on this album as well. Depth, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 for now. I mean, I've listened to it 6 times. I know I'm definitely going to still need more time to digest it and like really get the overall theme and meaning of the album, and that's just going to take time. But for my initial review, my initial take on the depth is 7 out of 10. Lastly, effectiveness. That meaning, when you make a song, what you're trying to do is make someone feel something. And so for Headlights, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I don't necessarily have a lot of thoughts to share on the effectiveness. I just think that it does a good job. That brings the total score to 82 out of 100, which could also be 8 out of 10, or if you're doing a 5-star rating, it'd be 4.5 stars. Really solid album. Definitely going to be listening to it more. Um, I'll get a better understanding as time goes by, but really solid first reaction. There are a few things that I forgot to add in the video reaction, so I'm just going to do a voiceover really quick. But I really like how Alex G will just throw in like a random instrument, like in June guitar. I originally thought it was bagpipes. I don't know why, but it's definitely an accordion, as you can see in the music video for the song. But it lands. It works really well. Same with the flute synth that is in the verses of Real Thing. And there are other moments, even in like God Save the Animals, but it happens here. And I also want to end my reviews with like something to reference the album with, that like the vibe that that's giving, or just something that I kind of attribute to the album. And for headlights, it's gonna be E.T. I think it's because of the blue cover, the Beam Me Up. I don't know, and then maybe because of the summer vibe, but I also just really like E.T. and I like the album. But that's what I'm getting from it. Really enjoyed it. Like I said, I'll definitely have a review of God Save the Animal soon, and I'll as I keep going through his discography, I'll probably do reviews of all the rest that I listen to. But yeah, thanks for watching. Be on the lookout for the next one. I'll definitely be doing some more recent releases, and then after that, I'll start sprinkling in some of my favorite albums of all time. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.